Hey, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be shooting out higher gain drive pedals for a specific song for a specific gig. So here's the context for what we're doing today. I'm playing at the NAMM show that's coming up here at the beginning of June here in 2020, and I'm bringing a trio, and we're playing different collection of songs that I have written over the years. Some of these are going to be songs that are included on this debut album that I'm doing, this kind of mainly a guitar album. And there is a specific song, it's a much more recent instrumental guitar track called Blurred, and it really requires some higher gain distortion than I typically play with for almost any other context, especially for stuff that I've written. Mostly falls in that blues kind of fusion territory, and so I need a little more than the way I normally use these pedals. And so I've got my fly rig here, and what we're going to be doing is, with all the same presets and everything on in actual context for this song, going to be kind of demoing out. I'm going to play a few different parts of the song on each drive pedal and just kind of help me make my choice on what to throw on this board. So before we get into each of the drive pedals that I'm going to be demoing today that are candidates for this is definitely a different kind of way to shoot out drives. I think most of the time we are demoing drive pedals to see how they work for a multitude of purposes, for different styles and songs, and kind of being Swiss Army knives, at least for me. You know, I don't necessarily always go shoot out a pedal for a specific song. Even in the studio, I do a lot more remote session work, so I might do some more finagling here than I would in a studio. But even then, I try to have a board that covers all the ground that I would need to, and then I can just dial in the right pedal at that moment. But I've got a little bit of time here, and I can't really decide what pedal I should be putting on here. So I've taken the last two drive spots off of the fly rig board here, and so the first two drives I typically go lower gain to higher gain, again because I don't really stack drives. I will boost in front of the drives a lot of the time, and for this board particularly, I've got my boost before the drive so I can kind of send it into a little more saturation. But we've got the H9s here. The Harlow will definitely be on. The Fox Gear Squeeze will definitely be on at a minimum. And these first two drive pedals, this Centura clone, and then the TS-808 Tube Screamer, that's going to cover most of the ground between those two pedals on really the rest of the set. Now, whatever I choose for this last two positions, or I might even just only have one over here, is going to be determined by what we find out today, and I likely will also use it. There's another song that in a medley that we're doing that definitely could use some higher gain, and so we'll probably look into that as well. But let's go over what drives we're going to be shooting out today. So as you can see, what's on the board right now, I've got my favorite overdrive of all time, the Lovepedal Kanji Eternity. And then we have an Phonix Mark I from Vertex. We're also going to be shooting out the Tone Secret, the Phonix Mark II, the Phonix HRM, and the Dynamic Distortion, all from Vertex, as well as the T.Rex Mudhoney, the Strymon Riverside, which is probably my most used drive pedal. There'll be a demo of that coming out soon. Although the Kanji is my favorite, I find myself using the Riverside nearly 80% of the time, which is substantial. We're also going to be looking at the Echopark Echo Driver, the TC Electronic Booster plus Line Driver Distortion, and also a Rat. I have plenty of other drive pedals around here, but they all, I think, sit under the threshold as far as gain for what I'm going for. And I have this kind of like weird mental block on really maxing out the gain on a pedal. I find that a pedal that you're trying to get enough gain out of, that you're maxing out the drive or the gain knob, It's probably going to add some noise because that's not really what the pedal was designed for. Not that there's anything wrong with maxing out the gain, it's a weird thing that I have personally. And so I'm trying to choose drives that have plenty of gain on tap where I won't have to, totally max out the gain knob on. So let's talk about the clean tone, and then I'll talk about what I'm looking for in each of these drives. I've got a delay specifically set for this song on that middle H9 there. I've got the Bogner Harlow on and the Fox Gear Squeeze compressor on. The Fox Gear is in front of the drives, Bogner is after. And this is going to be the sound for this song, and then whatever drive we end up with. So here's the clean tone on the neck pickup. Pretty clean. So I'm trying to get a ton of gain out of a single pedal. So this song is an instrumental, it's a guitar driven song that goes between the bridge pickup and the neck pickup. And what I need is for there to be enough gain on the hook on the bridge pickup that it stands pretty firm and strong, but when I go to the neck pickup, that there's still enough definition. The definition is really the thing I'm looking for. If I can get the saturation, but with the definition that I'm looking for, then we're going to be in good business here. And so I have the Mudhoney by T.Rex and ProCo Rat, it's just a reissue Rat, on the board here, and this is what we're going to start with. So let's start with the Mudhoney. I've got the boost on. Gain, I don't know, is somewhere around 10 o'clock, and then we've got the level about the same. Tone is up 75%. It's a good distortion sound. Could probably need a little bit more gain out of it. I'm gonna bump that up to halfway. That's definitely in the place that I'm looking for. There's not as much saturation though for what I'm looking for, and I feel like if I bump the gain up anymore, it's going to get really muddy. That part specifically really needs to have some transient response. Let's listen to the Rat. Since we're talking about transient response, let's get to something that totally does not have that. You know, this is not doing nearly as bad as I anticipated. the Rat might be a contender here. Let's move on to the next couple pedals. All right, so now we have the Lovepedal Kanji, which is my absolute favorite overdrive pedal, even though this is a little higher gain than I normally push it. And then we have the Mark I Ultra Phonix by Vertex. I've got the gain about 75% up on both of them. I'll start with the Kanji. That's the most comfortable sound to me. Let's move to the Ultra Phonix. That Kanji is a serious contender. It's just enough gain. I love the saturation in it. And it's not overpowering. There's still like a transient response, as if there's a clean blend in there or something. Let's go to the Ultra Phonix Mark I. That one really works too. It's definitely a lot more amp-like, you can hear. It gets a little muddy though in the neck pickup. I don't know that there's enough definition there, but we have the HRM and we have the Mark II Ultra Phonix. Again, this is not bashing any of these pedals. Not every pedal was made for every context. So I'm looking for a very specific thing for a specific song at a specific gig. And so love the Ultra Phonix, just not the right one for this song in this situation. Let's move on to the next couple drives. All right, so now we have the TC Electronic booster plus line driver and distortion, and then the dynamic distortion from Vertex. I have some expectations here on what I'm going to find when I'm playing these licks on these pedals, but let's give it a shot. The TC Electronic, let's start with that. So I've got the gain up 75% again on this one. The treble just a little lower than that. Bass is at neutral. Really like the way this sounds. It's kind of like the Ultra Phonix, a little more amp-like, just a little more sizzle on the top, but that helps it cut. That's definitely a contender as well. It's different than the Kanji, but that probably will fit better in a mix. Let's listen to the Dynamics Distortion from Vertex. It's a great sound. It's really luscious. There's so much bottom end though. And I have a feeling, I mean, really the rest of the set is on a Klon and a Screamer. When I turn that on, it's going to shift everything in a weird way. Don't necessarily want to do that. And again, wasn't as much definition on the neck pickup. It's a really hard thing to find, and it's like a weird thing. The neck pickup of a Strat, you want enough gain where there's like singing leads, you know, but enough transient response. You know, that's the whole point of the overdrive pedal, is that there's not transient response, but to where there's enough definition. And the neck pickup, you know, of a Strat style guitar, that's part of the mojo, is that there's not a ton of definition there. So let's move on. The TC Electronic is definitely a serious contender here. All right, so we've got the Echopark Echo driver here. It does really cool Klon style things, but also great Zen drive modes between the compression and the clipping. So I've got the clipping diodes and the compression in the plus setting. Gain, I don't know, 10 o'clock. And let's listen to how this sounds. This is a highly underrated drive pedal. I think having two of these, one in the more Klon style and one more in this Zen drive, you could have a great board with just two of the same overdrive. Man, yeah, this is definitely a contender, but it doesn't allow me to have another drive pedal, so that's going to have to be something that I think about here. Let's move on to the next couple overdrives. All right, so now we have the J.Rockett Touch Drive and the Ultra Phonix Mark II from Vertex. Let's start with the Ultra Phonix here. Right there, it got a little muddy. I'm going to bring the ratio down and blend in some of the clean, see if that helps us out here. turn the filter and the level up a little bit. I think that's about as good as we're gonna get on the definition there. I'm trying to get a little more gain out of it, but getting the right amount of gain, I think, out of the Ultraphonics and retaining the definition that I'm looking for with this specific situation, it just might not be the right fit. Let's move on to the touch drive. That's a lot closer to what I'm looking for. Turn the tone up a bit, see if we can get a little more definition out of it. Too much. That's serious contender right there. It lacks a little bit of definition, but the mid-range is in a different place that I'm a lot more comfortable with that and feeling like I could, be able to fit in the mix well and have enough definition and clarity. I might even be able to get away with a little less gain out of it, which would just, I think, put it in the right place with the definition. So we're going to hold on to that. Let's move on to the next couple drive pedals. All right, so now we have the Vertex Ultraphonics HRM and the Vertex Tone Secret. Tone Secret is definitely not quite in the camp of drive, amount of gain, rather, for the pedals that I'm like comparing here. But I've maxed out, as much as I'm willing to go on this pedal. I highly doubt it's going to be what we want, but it's been a minute since I've played this pedal, so let's listen to what we get away with. All right, well, that was my mistake. I'm trying to make this pedal do something that it's not meant to do. Let's look at the Ultraphonics, and I'm going to quickly adjust these settings. All right, so both of these were kind of quick. I didn't think either of these would be totally the right thing, but just wanted to throw it in the mix. So we can kind of mark out both of these pedals as being contenders. Let's move on. We only have 1 or 2 left here. All right, so now we have the Strymon Riverside. Like I said before, this is probably the drive that I use 80% of the time. And there is kind of a high gain mode, and I can have that as my favorite. I usually have the favorite as the higher gain sound, and just the standard operating mode. A little lower gain, kind of closer to the Klon and Tube Screamer. So it would be somewhat redundant to have it, but if we're just utilizing the higher gain sound, we might get the right thing that we're looking for here as far as tightness. So let's listen to the Riverside. I'm going to increase the gain a little bit, maybe add some low end back. I don't know. That's it's about everything that I was looking for. I think the gain is clearly an overdrive style gain. It doesn't clip in the same way that a distortion does. And it's not giving me like the saturation. However, without that saturation, I've got a lot more clarity on tap. So that's definitely something to consider. This is the last one of all of the drives. So the ones that are contenders are the Kanji, the Touch Drive, the TC Electronic Line Driver Distortion, the Mudhoney, maybe. That's what's typically on this board most of the time. And then also the Riverside. So that's 5. We've narrowed it down to 5. We have something like 10 that we did here, maybe 12. And I think ultimately it comes down to what's going to give me the most flexibility day of. We're flying out using backline, not really worried about it because I'm going to be able to use a deluxe. But I think it depends on what's gonna, sit on this board well. That's a factor. I liked the Echopark, but I think that because, it takes away a spot there, in case for whatever reason it doesn't sound great day of, I'm kind of limiting my options there. Really, really love what the Touch Drive was doing. The Kanji is home for me. The TC Electronic is really cool. It kind of sits in a really cool place. Don't love flying with that pedal. They're not like outrageously expensive or anything, but it's hard to find one. It's hard to find one in good condition. And I really just love that pedal. The other thing is it's got an adapter where you have to use an 1/8 inch, almost like a headphone style jack for the power, and it's pretty loose fitting. So it's a pedal that you kind of have to baby a little bit Can't just kind of be throwing it around like some of the other pedals. So I think ultimately it's probably going to end up some combination of the Kanji in the touch drive, or the Kanji in the Riverside, or the Riverside in the touch drive. I think some combination of those three pedals. That way I've got a couple options day of higher gain sounds. And we're, you know, kicking off our set with just a snippet of Eruption. You know, I need something kind of powerful and high gain for that. So we'll see what we end up with. I'll definitely be doing videos kind of vlogging about traveling, flying with instruments and stuff. Just, you know, getting this brand new guitar and then flying with it is not a super comfortable feeling, but you know, it's part of working and part of what you got to do. So I'll be documenting a lot of this. Hopefully this gave you some insight on things to, you know, specifically look for a song. If you know you're going to be using the neck pickup of a specific guitar, you know you're going to have these other pedals on. What are the things that you're looking for? Maybe it's not definition. Maybe you want it to be a lot looser on the bass spectrum side of things in the EQ, and you want it to just, you know, fill a massive amount of sound on the low end, or maybe you're looking for a much lighter gain drive. Either way, if you've got a specific thing that you're looking for, especially with a new song, this is a new song, I don't have, you know, any live experience on this, is kind of typically what I've used or what's worked well. And so this being the first time playing it live, just trying to look for something that's going to make me feel comfortable with some of the challenging parts in this song. You know, even though I wrote it, there are some challenging parts that I've got to practice. Obviously my playing in this video shows that I've got some work to do there. But ultimately, like I said, the Riverside is what I use 80% of the time anyways, so pulling it off my main board, throwing it on here, would make me feel at least safe and comfortable. Again, the Kanji, I know what I'm going to get out of that live. Those are two big benefits to having both of these pedals, but it's also an opportunity to, you know, throw something like this touch drive. It's really small, and I can easily throw that right next to the Riverside, no problems. And I really love the way that it worked today. So I think ultimately probably this is the combination that we're going to end up with, is the touch drive and the Riverside. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. This is the kind of content that you enjoy. Please like and subscribe. I got halfway through the pedals and realized I did not turn the pedal cam on. So if there is some like weirdness at the beginning of the video, it's because of that. I'm sure you will see parts of that in the outtakes here coming up in a second. Until next time, I've been Colin. All right, so now, oh my God. I have to reshoot this whole thing because I didn't turn pedal cam on. How fucking stupid. Hey, how's it going? In today's video, we're gonna be, I am playing, start that over. Demoing out all as well as the okay. Hey, how's it going? We're gonna be shooting out wow, now okay. I don't know how I'm gonna edit this. I don't know how I'm gonna edit this. Okay. So